Welcome to MWEB's Entrepreneur Zone. Today I've got Jamie from Moonflower Cottages. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks, Paul. Nice to be here.
Tell us a bit more about your business.
Okay, Moonflower Cottages was essentially started about 4 years ago, just before the World Cup, and consists of 5 self-catering cottages, offering pretty much sort of a home-from-home type comfort to international travellers, to local travellers, to people that are moving up from Cape Town, Durban, down from Botswana, etc.
And you got into this business as, for want of a better term, a second career.
Did the sort of corporate experience for best part of 35 years in a number of big corporates. And the last one, I was involved in a startup business, which unfortunately kind of got to the point with the recession where we were forced to in fact sell off the brand and close the business. So it was born out of necessity, but it was something that I'd kind of looked at for a long time and had been building the cottages even though I was employed at that particular time.
And in terms of getting the business going, starting up, how did you get your brand out there? How did you get occupancy levels up?
I probably have an advantage in being in the marketing field pretty much all my career. So it was just a matter of deciding on the name, which was Moonflower Cottages, and then building the brand, designing it, getting out there mostly online, which I think is still the most cost-effective way of launching a small business, because in relative terms, the money that you spend is far less than above-the-line advertising, and you can do far more for it and basically establish an online presence.
And you've gone with the self-catering business rather than a bed and breakfast. What was the strategy behind that? Almost
fell into that in a way in that I started off as a B&B, offering, although all the cottages have their own cooking facilities and kitchens, I did offer breakfast, but I just found with a lot of business travellers it wasn't something that they really needed. And it was an afterthought, and also we have a sort of a shopping centre literally 200 metres from our facilities where there are a number of restaurants. So to compete with them wasn't really an option, and quite honestly it was a lot easier just to give people the option to self-cater.
And the name, it's an interesting name. Someone from a marketing background, how did you go about finding that?
Okay, a bit of history to that. And I was on a motorbike ride with a group of friends down in Port St John's in the Transkei, and in the garden there was a moonflower tree, which I'm not sure if you know, but the flowers only come out at night, in a sort of bright moonlit night. And yeah, I was fascinated with the tree, and it just kind of stuck in my mind. So my first thought when I opened the cottages was go the moonflower route.
Your business is about people. It's about keeping your guests and your clients happy and content. What is some of the secrets to that?
I think, again, good service and friendly service, and just offering sort of a really relaxed home-from-home environment where people can, they're not feeling as if they're sort of staying or living in an environment like a very posh hotel where they almost forced into a certain dress code or anything like that. It's literally, they can come home, relax, invite people over from a business perspective, or friends or family, and really enjoy the home.
And your target market?
Target market essentially is pretty much anybody looking for accommodation, but it's based on my experience that I've had over the last 4 years. It's a mixture of people, of travellers, international travellers visiting the country, things like the World Cup. Obviously one can, from an entrepreneurial point of view, always look at capitalising on those events and putting yourself out there for them specifically. Then we've got local travellers, people coming up from Cape Town, from Durban on business trips or staying for a week, 2 weeks. And they almost prefer, I think, being in an informal, relaxed environment. There's a cost factor to it as well, and that from a small business point of view, you can be far more competitive price-wise than a big hotel with lots of staff and infrastructure. So yeah, that essentially is pretty much, and also people who are in between homes or building their own home or just moving from place to place. You get sort of anything from a week to a couple of months.
One of the difficulties many people that run self-catering or bed and breakfast businesses is seasonality. You were telling me that your occupancy levels are at 90-odd%. How have you managed to get such high occupancy levels?
just consistency of marketing as well. You know, again, from an online point of view, if you constantly, and online marketing is all about, from our perspective, content. It's where your property is position. Online marketing is content. You need to continually put yourself out there, talk about not only the services that you offer, but what the environment is about around you. The restaurants in Parkhurst, what's happening in Greenside, the new Virgin Gym that's just been launched recently around the corner. So those are good things that people would want to use, and you need to communicate that to them.
Earlier you were saying that you started the business a bit out of necessity. I think there are a number of people in this country that are starting businesses out of necessity. What advice would you give to someone that's in that position and now saying, well, I need to find an income? How do they look at what they should be doing?
I think try and sort of identify what your passion is. Mine essentially wasn't hospitality because I had no experience in it, but it was service. So, and I also looked at what I had to work with. So I had a big property in Victory Park that allowed itself to be developed into providing hospitality. So I think look towards your own skills and what you have available first, and then have the passion and the drive to make it happen.
Jamie, having morphed the business from being more B&B focused to being self-catering must have freed up some of your time?
What it's done, it's allowed me to sort of investigate or build on my previous experience and go down the road of becoming a digital expert, one says, one hopes, in terms of an internet marketing consultancy. So that's another leg that I use to basically explore and work in.
So, and that's another part of your business that you're developing and growing?
Yes, it is. I work with an established business and basically handle the sales and marketing side, which allows me to work from my home office from a remote perspective, which is great. Again, it allows you to manage your time.
In terms of the 4 years that you've been operating, are you seeing a change in the requirements of your customers?
Again, the economic downturn has had an effect on what people can spend on travelling. So where before it was business class and it was 4 or 5-star hotels from a business perspective, it's now become self-catering or B&Bs. So the smaller sector of the market, I think, has certainly benefited from that in the long term. And I know a lot of people that I work with in the sort of industry or within the immediate area also run at really high occupancy rates. So it's really a great business to get into if you have the space and the ability to, and the time, obviously, to run it.
With your experience in digital marketing, you must understand the power of social media and review sites. How do you see that tying in with your self-catering business?
It's an absolute fit because you're creating communities. Every social media site is a community, and the more people you invite into those communities obviously interact and communicate with their circle of friends. So from a branding point of view, you're really just getting yourself out there at, again, very little cost because they are free sites. And your only investment is essentially in the content and doing it consistently.
How do you manage a situation where someone may have had an experience that they were unhappy with and then they go and post a review about that?
You always have the opportunity to respond to it. Luckily, I've never had any negative comments. And that, I think, if you're open about the way you provide service, people would address it directly to you. Only if they're extremely unhappy and it wasn't resolved would they then go to the lengths of posting something. Once it's posted, obviously you can't take it off, and you need to then address that by possibly just keeping the content going and posting more and more positive reviews, which you can then talk to your clients about if they're happy to do that, till you essentially move that off the page.
Jamie, you got your self-catering business and you're exploring in the digital space. What's next for you?
I think pretty much of the same. I think it's a formula that works for me. It allows me not only an income, but the ability to manage my time and to free up a lot of my time for the things that I love doing, like riding motorbikes around the countryside. So essentially, I'm pretty sort of set on the path that I've created, and it works for me.
That brings us on to our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice, I think, is just to stay the course. Be honest about what you do, have credibility in terms of what you do, and just go out there and do it.
And your best moment as an entrepreneur?
Realizing that it works. And And I think we're coming from a corporate environment where you're almost locked into the golden handcuffs, and they do tend to keep you there because they want to keep you in the organization. Just realizing that you can actually do it on your own.
And your biggest mistake?
Waiting too long. I should have done it a lot earlier.
What do you look for in people that you work with?
Integrity, honesty, and people that are just uplifting.
What does an entrepreneur need to be successful?
Tenacity, staying the course. Have an idea and just make it work for you.
What inspires you as a small business owner?
The time that's available to me to use as I like. And it's all about balance, work and play.
What would you do differently?
I really believe that the course that I did in terms of undertaking the research to start off with, understanding the business that I wanted to go into, and putting the best possible business plan together and strategy. Very important.
What makes South Africa a good place to run a small business?
It's a haven for entrepreneurs, it really is. I think you can pretty much do whatever you want. There are far less constraints in this country than in most places of the world, and we just need to take it and run with it.
What keeps you up at night?
Nothing. I sleep like a baby.
And what gets you going in the morning?
The fact that every day is different, and it has its own opportunities and own challenges and own rewards, and that's just fantastic. I love it.
Jamie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you. We look forward to the coming weeks. We will bring you more South African entrepreneurs. I'm Paul Hobden. Thank you and goodbye.